Hey guys, this is Hero, and today I'm going to be discussing the transit of Jupiter into Pisces. Okay, just a quick little disclaimer: the nakshatras purva badapada and Uttara Bhadrapada. I'm going to be mentioning them a couple times throughout this video. Instead of saying the whole thing every single time and avoiding tongue twisters, I'm just going to say PB and UB. Okay, I don't know how acceptable this is in the general astrological or Indian community, but I'm just gonna do me. This is my channel, okay? So I'll go ahead and get started. So Jupiter, it enters Pisces from about April 13th to July 29th, okay? And just the thing, so you may have known July 29th, it's in Pisces a lot longer. I'm only doing this video up until Jupiter goes retrograde, okay? So Jupiter goes retrograde July 29th. I'm gonna do it up to there. After the retrograde starts, I'm gonna make another separate video later just to split it up a little bit, just because Jupiter's transit in the sign is so long, okay? Because even after it goes retrograde, it stays in Pisces the whole time, and then it goes forward again. It's in Pisces for a while, which is beautiful because Pisces, it's the last sign, it's Jupiter's own sign, a lot of great opportunity for spiritual enlightenment, okay? And even overall, Saturn's in Aquarius too. Its own Mutrikon, Aquarius and Jupiter are the last two signs. This is a great time overall for just spiritual enlightenment as a whole, okay? I'll go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna split this video up into three parts, okay? There's the beginning part where Venus is conjunct Jupiter up until the end of May. Then there's up until the end of June where Mars is conjunct Jupiter. And then there's the end of July where Jupiter starts slowing down, Saturn starts throwing an aspect on Jupiter, and Jupiter starts throwing an aspect on Sun and Mercury in Cancer, Jupiter's exaltation sign, okay? So I'll go ahead and get started. Now, I'm going to try to make this video a little bit quicker than my Saturn video I made yesterday in Aquarius, okay? So to start off, Jupiter, it's in Pisces for 2 weeks before Venus comes in, okay? So the first little bit, Jupiter is in Pisces. It's in the nakshatra PB in Pada 4, okay? Now, if you notice, PB Pada 4, PB is Jupiter's own nakshatra, okay? And so Jupiter's in its own sign, own nakshatra, and in D9 it's exalted, okay? Fantastic spot timing-wise, okay? Because right when Jupiter leaves PB to go into UB, that's exactly when Saturn gets into Aquarius, right? So PB Pada 4, because it's that section in Pisces and it gets in Cancer in D9, which is Jupiter's exaltation sign, which is the planet we're talking about. It's like, okay, all the awareness I gained, let's just say I'm Jupiter, right? All the awareness I gained when I was in Aquarius, I'm like processing that and really detaching from like the concept of learning, like learning what I learned in Jupiter when I was in Aquarius, and just fully understand that I now know how to fulfill my karmas and help people. And now I'm kind of just detaching and transitioning into the sign of Pisces, okay? And right when I move on into UB, Saturn ends up going into Aquarius, okay? So the whole story is like, okay, I'm kind of understanding that, hey, I learned everything I needed to learn when I was in Aquarius. Let's just say I'm Jupiter. I learned everything I needed to learn when I was in Aquarius, okay? And then I'm basically saying, hey, look, I'm handing the throne to Saturn. I learned everything. Now it's up to you to get the job done, okay? I kind of wrote out the game plan, made the blueprint. Now it's up to you to get it done. And then right when that happens, right when Jupiter leaves PB, it moves on into UB, which is Saturn's own nakshatra, and Saturn moves on into Aquarius, moving very slow, so it's able to really get going in high gear, okay? Now, 2 weeks in, Jupiter moves into UB, and Venus also comes into Pisces as well, okay? Now, there's two nakshatras that are completely in Pisces, okay? That's UB and there's Revati, okay? UB is ruled by Saturn. So this nakshatra represents kind of detaching from all the stuff, all like the negative stuff that like you need to detach from, okay? So Jupiter in UB, it's going to represent overall as a whole because it's only in UB up until the retrograde, okay? It doesn't quite make it to Revati. It makes it to UB Pada 4 though, okay? So it goes throughout the whole Uttara Bhadrapada, okay? I just said it one time full just because I felt like it. So it's basically saying, hey, Saturn, I know you're doing your thing in Aquarius. I'm gonna help you out, and because you have to look at the whole story, okay? It's not just, oh, this plus this equals this. These are all like, imagine like a society of people almost, okay? That's why the olden scriptures, they have, you know, literally like they have many references to many different things, okay? Because this is not just like math, okay, where you're just calculating. So Jupiter's in UB, and it's saying, okay, Saturn, hey, I know you're just going into Aquarius. I'm going into UB, and I'm gonna detach from everything I need to further support you, okay? So if I need to detach from X, Y, and Z because it's gonna help you, I'll do it, okay? Now, UB is different than Revati because, like I said, UB, it's detaching from the negative kind of stuff that you need to detach from. Revati is just more general detaching from everything, okay? So Jupiter never leaves UB, but Venus does and goes to Revati. But Venus gets exalted, like its peak exaltation is in Revati, okay? So when it's in UB with Jupiter, it's like, yeah, not only is Jupiter detaching from everything that Saturn wants it to detach from, but Venus is also like, yeah, dude, I'm whatever you need to get done. Yeah, I don't mind giving up my luxuries and stuff so that you can do what you have to do. Okay, that's what makes this thing so powerful. This whole thing, it's like a whole mash of energies. Okay, especially up until Saturn goes retrograde. Okay, but the whole thing, but like the whole month of May is like, oh my God, like you're gonna notice something. Okay, now Venus ends up mid or beginning of May. It ends up going into Revati. Okay, now that's great because it's saying, okay, Jupiter is still in UB, right? So it's still saying, hey, look, anything that we need to detach from, I'm gonna use my awareness to try to get that going. Venus is saying, hey, you know what? I don't really need anything. So yeah, let's just go ahead and stop. Like let's just go ahead and really leave. And it's still conjunct Jupiter, right? So Jupiter and UB is still rubbing off on Venus in Revati. So all your luxuries and stuff, not just the stuff you need to get rid of, but even the stuff that you don't need to get rid of, but that you don't necessarily need overall, you're going to start getting, putting that to the side too, which is really going to help accelerate Saturn's agenda also, right? Because Saturn is the one ultimately that fulfills the karma, okay? Not Jupiter and Venus. Jupiter especially, it mostly just assists Saturn, or it provides the wisdom for Saturn, okay? So I think I covered enough of when Venus is there. Now, right around the time when Venus leaves, I think a week before, right at the end, right in this peak exaltation, Mars comes into Pisces, okay? So it just went from conjunct Saturn, okay, helping it make the changes it needs to make, to conjunct Jupiter and Pisces, okay? Now, here's what's going on. So Mars, when it goes into Pisces, it likes Jupiter, but it's not a big fan of Pisces, right? Because it's 12th from Aries, okay? Mars likes the new changes that Aries provides. It doesn't want to really let go too much. But what you could say is that Jupiter, like I said, Mars rubs off on Jupiter, but Jupiter also rubs back off Mars. And Jupiter is the strongest benefic, okay? And it's very strong in its own sign, okay? So what does this mean? If you use the energies properly, okay? Most likely if you're watching my videos, you're somewhat spiritually inclined. So I hope you can do this. Mars will help you make changes in order to assist you down the path of detachment that Jupiter is trying to do in Pisces, okay? I'll give you an example. Let's just say after work, you love to drink and smoke, okay? Mars will be like, okay, look, Jupiter will be like, dude, we need to stop doing this, okay? Mars will be like, okay, fine. You know what? Or the Jupiter and Mars, they kind of work together, okay? They're like, yeah, you know what? We'll do something else. We'll go to the gym. We'll hang out with my brother instead of, my other friends who smoke and drink, my family or something like that. We'll do this so that we can detach. Okay? So that Saturn can keep doing what it needs to do. Okay? You have to look at the whole story. Okay? So that kind of picture goes on from mid-May to end of June. Okay, now, end of June, Mars leaves and goes into Aries, which I'll cover that in a separate video. I'll also cover the Venus in Pisces in a separate video, just because it's, it's its own exaltation sign and it's Venus. But after that, Jupiter, after Mars leaves on June 27th, Jupiter has about a month before it goes retrograde on July 29th, right? And as you guys may remember it in my Saturn video, what does that mean? The bigger, slower moving planets that go retrograde for a while, they start slowing down right about a month before it gets retrograde. Okay, so right when Mars leaves, Jupiter is smack like kind of in the middle of Pisces, kind of in a nice spot, and it's slowing down. Okay, so it's giving those slow stationary energies that are going to make it very, very, very strong. Okay, so your awareness, it's gonna kick up even more. Okay, like, hey, look. These are you're basically gonna get a little bit more deeper thought on, like, okay, these are really the stuff I need to stop doing. Okay, like the stuff that you are the absolute most attached to, and that you find the most fake fulfillment and fake validation in your day-to-day life, like even like TV, using phone, stuff like that. Okay, now, this is going to keep continuing until Jupiter goes retrograde. Now, on July 12th, Saturn moves back into Capricorn. Why is this important? Because it aspects Jupiter, okay? And then also on July 16th and 17th, Mercury and Sun move into Cancer. Why is this important? Because Jupiter in Pisces places a fifth aspect onto Cancer, is an exaltation sign, okay? So about 2 weeks before the retrograde starts, Saturn is placing an aspect on Jupiter, and Jupiter is placing an aspect on its exaltation sign where Sun and Mercury is, right? So what does this mean? Okay, so I'll break it up into two parts really quickly, and then I'll end the video. The Saturn aspect on, third aspect on Pisces, I mentioned this a little bit in the Saturn video, but Saturn does not throw a third full aspect randomly, okay? This is like a genius logic of why it does this. Third house represents effort. So wherever Saturn is, third from it, you have to put in more efforts in that house. So if Saturn goes back into Capricorn, Capricorn is all about discipline. Third house is Pisces, or third sign is Pisces. So it basically means, okay, Saturn is forcing you to become disciplined. You have to put more efforts into detaching from everything in order to become disciplined in the things you need to become disciplined in, okay? Which is amazing because Jupiter is also in Pisces, and Jupiter is in Saturn's nakshatra of UB, right? So it's like even more, Jupiter is just doing whatever Saturn wants to do, okay? That gas, that fuel Jupiter has to follow Saturn's agenda, it's just going up and up and up. Okay, and especially because now it's getting really close to being fully stationary before it goes retrograde. Okay, and Saturn's retrograde also. So when both retrograde and Saturn aspects Jupiter, it's like, oh boy. I'm gonna cover that more when I make a Jupiter goes retrograde video later in the summer. Now, Jupiter aspecting Sun and Mercury in Cancer. So this happens, like I said, the last 2 weeks of the transit. And also I noticed right when, this is just a little fun thing, right when Jupiter goes retrograde, Moon happens to be in Cancer as well, okay? That's a coincidence. The day it's stationary and goes retrograde, Moon is in Cancer. So it's like those energies for a planet in Cancer, it's really strong, right? Because Sun and Mercury, they're with the sign lord of Cancer, and they're being aspected by Jupiter in its own sign of Pisces, and it gets exalted in Cancer where they're sitting, right? This just makes it so that, remember what I said, Jupiter, like it's following the agendas of Saturn, but it has its own, agendas also that it wants to help fulfill. So it's like, okay, I'm detaching from what I'm doing in order to help others. And it's actually in this instance it's using its own agenda in line with Saturn's agenda, because it's like, okay, I'm helping others, but at the same time, I'm fulfilling my karmas with them also. Beautiful, like, combination that's going on here. Okay, the whole like month of like July and August, like or like mid July to mid August, when Sun especially is in Cancer, and Mercury is there for some time also. Like, a lot going on. Okay, and I hope if you guys learned something from this video. I know I tend to speak in a little bit of like or analyze things in a little bit of a different way, but I hope I encourage you guys to look at the whole story. Okay, don't look at just calculations and stuff. Look at the entire picture of what's going on, and look at how the energies all fit together. Okay, not just trying to do like, this plus this should equal this plus this. Just try to intuitively sense the full story. Okay, so hope you guys learned a lot from this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can let me know in the comment section or through email. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, talk to you guys later. Thank you.